Have you ever engaged in a serious debate over which is better, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings? Have you ever played Smash or Pass using only characters from Star Wars and Marvel movies? If you answered yes to any of these questions, we have the podcast for you. Listen to the Steam Gentleman, the podcast where an expert panel convenes to ask the questions about pop culture and social commentary that other podcasts are afraid to ask. Listen to the Steam Gentleman on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, Wrestling Fans International Association is back. That's right, the premier fan club association of the 1970s and 1980s has been revived and is back in business. Join today. It's free at thewfia.org. That's thewfia.org. You can also join us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/WFIA 1969. Welcome back, everybody, to the 1987 Supermod. I am your host, Brad Drake, and this is the World Wrestling Federation. And tonight, everybody, we are recording the WWF on Z Channel. We are at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. Let's go ahead and set our show for the Z Channel. There we go. We're going to use this broadcaster. We're going to save this selection. For those of you that are new to the channel and have not seen us do a Z Channel show yet, the WWF in 1987 was very, very busy. And as you can tell from the schedule that we're running, they had some really cool stuff going on too. Like they had like independent television deals with arenas. For example, when they ran Madison Square Garden, New York, not always, but sometimes they would record a show for the MSG network. When they were in Philadelphia running the Spectrum, they would record a show for the Prism network. It was the same thing out in California at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. They would record a show for Z Channel. Now, Z Channel is long gone. Prism and MSG network, I think, are still around, but Z Channel is long gone. Z Channel was like this experimental pay-per-view channel. It was like an HBO or something like that where the people with cable in the Los Angeles area could subscribe and get Z Channel. So WWF had a deal with Z Channel, and the WWF, from what I understand, made a lot of money off of Z Channel. Not only did they get a cut of the pay-per-view, but they got an upfront cut too. So it was really cool. I think they ran it for about 3 or 4 years. So we put it in the game, and we have it. So here we go. Let's take a look at our absent workers. It's nothing but who we expect to be out. Our backstage incidents here, everybody. Scott Casey's got himself in trouble again. And Bruno Sammartino straightened him out and said you will buy a crate of beer for the locker room. And I can never get over this when it says it. Scott Casey has the scumbag personality and is currently happy. But yet, he has a hatred for me now. Whatever it takes, you know. All right. We got some protege work here. Steamboat and Scotty Williams. Savage and Dusty Wolf. The greatest mullet I have ever seen. The pure fluffiness and power of that thing is just beautiful. Ventura with Dave Wagner here. Working with him. Dave Wagner and his partner Rick Renslow. The Wild Alaskans. Previously in the AWA and Independence. They were a couple of real big dudes. All right, everybody, let's take a look at our card for this evening. We're going to run a couple dark matches. We're going to see Jerry Allen and Danny Spivey in action. We're also going to see the Ultimate Warrior in action. On our main card, Iron Mike Sharpe and Scott Casey will open things up. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, unless there is an asterisk, this is the real card. We are going to see Brady Boone battle Tiger Mask for the World Junior Heavyweight title. The Shadows are going to face the Young Stallions once again. The Killer Bees are going to battle the Hart Foundation for the World Tag Team title. Tito Santana and Butch Reed are going to be in singles action. And then our main event, everybody, we're going to see Ricky, the Dragon Steamboat, the former Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, face the current Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion in the Honky Tonk Man. And yes, the title will be on the line. So here we go, everybody. Los Angeles Sports Arena on Z Channel, July 1987. Let's get to booking. All right, here we go. In our opener, which of course is a dark match, we have Sear and Martin versus Allen and Spivey. And we actually have, do we have Sear and Martin? We do. I could have avoided typing all that. Could have just gone with it. But for some reason we don't have Jerry Allen and Danny Spivey in there, even though they've been tagging for quite a while here. By quite a while, I mean a few months. Here is Danny Spivey. And while we're here, that's okay. We'll take care of it later. All right, Jerry Allen is going to get the win for his team here, everybody. And we'll make sure to indicate that this one is a dark match. This one is booked. And up next, we have Steve Gatorwolf in there against the Ultimate Warrior. This will not go well for Steve Gatorwolf. Now, this is interesting when we start talking about the Ultimate Warrior. I've read a lot of conflicting things about Warrior, and I've heard a lot of conflicting things about Warrior in interviews and stuff. You just never know who's telling the truth, or maybe it was just different people with different impressions. Maybe Warrior treated people differently. When I read Dynamite Kid's book back in 1999, I believe it was, and I just reread it again a few months ago, you know, he talked highly of Warrior. He liked Warrior. He said he was a decent guy. I think they also worked out together, stuff like that. Warrior rode with the Bulldogs to a lot of places and spoke highly of him. I also read Gary Hart's book recently, where Gary Hart speaks very highly of the Ultimate Warrior. He says that he was green and that he was clumsy, but he was also a very respectful, kind guy that listened to what Gary Hart told him and was nice to Gary Hart for the rest of their friendship, the remainder of their friendship. Now, you also hear people like the Honky Tonk Man speaks very highly of the Ultimate Warrior. He said that he had to work quite a bit with the Warrior, but that the Warrior got better and that he got decent. And again, he spoke highly of him. He liked the Warrior. Now you hear people like Bobby Heenan. If you watch any of his stuff where he just rips the Warrior to shreds and says the guy was just terrible and was a horrible human being. I've also heard others speak the same way. I forget, I was listening to somebody's podcast and they had a guy on there that was a fan in the 80s. He was in like his teens. He sees Warrior at a gas station. It was shortly after Warrior had just won the Intercontinental Heavyweight title, and he congratulates Warrior on the title, and Warrior's like, "It's just another piece of luggage," and was a jerk and wouldn't sign autographs for him. You hear a lot of people talk about the negativity of the Ultimate Warrior and how big of a jerk he was and how he would hurt people in the ring and didn't care. Mario Mancini, I believe, is one of the people I heard speak about him, where Warrior just didn't care about hurting anybody. I think Ron Shaw, Big Ron Shaw, also mentioned how Warrior didn't care about hurting people. You know what? I take that back. I remember Mancini and Ron Shaw not speaking highly of Warrior, but I'm thinking directly now of Barry Horowitz. I just watched an interview with Barry Horowitz not too long ago, where Barry Horowitz talks very negatively about the Warrior and how the Warrior hurt one of his friends in the ring. And I guess the agents went nuts on him about it. And Warrior's like, guy's been wrestling for 15 years, doesn't know how to take a bump, instead of apologizing or anything like that. So you hear all these negative things about Warrior. You also hear about him holding up Vince McMahon and other promoters for more money, refusing to go out. Who's to know what to believe? Or maybe Warrior was all these things. I don't know. What I know as a fan and being a little kid, SummerSlam 88 was one of the most exciting things I ever saw when he beat Honky Tonk Man for that title. And the reason being is that my brother and I, we just hated Honky Tonk Man. We couldn't stand him. We would get so pissed off at Honky Tonk Man, we wouldn't stop watching, but we would watch just to boo Honky Tonk Man because we hated him so badly. And years later, I realized that that's how effective Honky Tonk Man was as a heel and how good he was. So imagine our delight when Ultimate Warrior beats him in 30 seconds at SummerSlam 88. The whole build-up was awesome. Beefcake's out of the match because he got the spur from Ron Bass. They don't know. We have no idea. He's got a mystery opponent. Nobody has any idea who Honky Tonk Man's going to wrestle. And then all of a sudden you hear the do hit. And we go nuts. I remember jumping around the family room, going crazy. Warrior finally liberated the title. We thought it was the greatest thing on earth. We were going nuts. To this day, when I watch that match, I still get goosebumps. And now they've taken it out of there, but if you watched it originally like we did, we recorded it on VHS from the live broadcast. And the best part is they're showing the recap, and Gorilla Monsoon says to Superstar Billy Graham, Superstar, why don't you call the replay here? Yeah, brother. And he's and he's watching it. He goes, and here comes the Warrior, and he hits him with a big. And there's this pause, and he goes, the body slam, brother. And Gorilla Monsoon had to cover him, and Gorilla Monsoon goes, what a splash! If you watch nowadays, like even the show when they got him on YouTube and stuff like that, that's completely removed from the broadcast. But I'll never forget that. My impression of the Ultimate Warrior afterwards was, I think even as a young kid, I started to realize he wasn't really that good of a wrestler. And his interviews were really dumb. Like, it was cool that he was the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion in that. And, like, we liked him. I remember my oldest brother had a poster of him up in his room. And, like, everybody liked Warrior. But I remember, like, even back then being this young kid being like, man, this guy's just not really that good. And then I remember when it came to, WrestleMania 6, I was in 3rd grade. And I'm telling you, man, like, the months leading up to WrestleMania 6, that 3rd grade was divided in half. Like, I stopped friendships with people because I was a huge Hogan fan, and these people were all Warrior fans. Like, we stopped talking to each other. We stopped sitting next to each other in the lunchroom. We stopped hanging out in line before school. All over this. And I remember telling everybody, Hogan's going to win. There's no way Warrior's going to win. And Warrior wins. My brother and I were so upset that my dad never bought another pay-per-view again. True story. You can ask my brother about it. That was the end of us getting pay-per-views because my dad was so mad that we were so mad. That's it. We're done. And never got another pay-per-view again. All right, let's go back now to 2023, where we're doing a fantasy wrestling show here about the 1987. All right, so we have Iron Mike Sharpe against Scott Casey. We're going to leave this one open-ended. I don't care who wins that match, and I'm sure the viewers on the Z channel don't care either. Ricky Steamboat is going to cut a promo here. Ooh, you know what, everybody? I screwed up right off the bat here. We got to get the commentators straight. All right, Z channel, Monsoon and Alfred Hayes. So let's make our adjustments right now. And it's not too bad to do. Here's Gorilla Monsoon. Here is Lord Alfred Hayes. Here's none. Here's Gorilla Monsoon. Here's Lord Alfred Hayes. Here's none. Now, if I remember correctly from watching these old Z Channel shows, Gorilla Monsoon had like a revolving door of co-hosts with him. So Ricky Steamboat cuts a promo, and of course, Ricky Steamboat is going to be talking about his upcoming bout that night against the Honky Tonk Man. So he's talking to Gene Okerlund. Here is Mean Gene. Now, I'm sure all of these were pre-tapes back then, and Ricky Steamboat needs some help, so we're going to have Gene Okerlund give him a hand, and he's talking about Honky Tonk Man here. Honky Tonk. Honky is, of course, off screen. All right, Brady, Boone, and Tiger Mask are up next, the extremely talented Tiger Mask. And for those of you that don't know, we brought back the relationship with New Japan and the UWA in Mexico, and we actually formed an alliance, and then we created the WWF World Junior Heavyweight title in the alliance in order to bring it back. This had ended actually about a year or two before, but we brought it back. It's one of the only fantasy things that we have going in this game. So, yes, our match is going to go 10 minutes here. And we have Brady Boone, who was an outstanding junior heavyweight. Small guy, great shape, really good in the ring. And he's in there against Tiger Mask. Brady Boone passed away pretty young. Here is Tiger Mask. All right, and we have the World Junior Heavyweight title on the line. And of course, Tiger Mask is going to get the win here, everybody. All right, this one is booked. Up next here, we have the Shadows against the Young Stallions. They're going to go 10 minutes. That's a long time for these two teams that aren't very good. Here's the Shadows. Here are the Young Stallions. We just had this match last night in the game world. We're going to have it again. So Paul Roma get the win here on this one, everybody. This one's in the books. All right, up next, we're going to have a Honky Tonk Man promo. And of course, he's going to be chatting right back at Ricky Steamboat. So we'll go ahead and plug in Honky Tonk Man here. And we'll plug in Gene Okerlund. And he'll be talking about that Ricky Steamboat. Now, Honky Tonk Man's pretty good on his own, so we don't need Gene Okerlund to help him. Honky should be just fine. Up next, we have the Killer Bees and the Hart Foundation. And we're going to change this one up. We're going to give them 14 minutes. We're going to give Santana and Reed 12. So here are the Killer Bees. Here are the Hart Foundation. Of course, these two teams went at it last night in the game world, but that's how it was, everybody. They would wrestle around the circuit. And you being in another town without a televised event, you had no idea that they wrestled the night before, or most likely did the same finisher. So they went to a double DQ last night. The Hart Foundation beat the Killer Bees. All right, here's what we have to do. We have to have the Harts go over here, and we're going to have them go over by cheating because of how we're going to set up the main event. All right, Tito Santana and Butch Reed are up next. They have a feud going. Tito Santana, of course, is just days away from joining forces with Rick Martel and becoming Strikeforce. Great tag team. All right, here is Tito. Here is Butch. Excellent wrestlers, both these guys. We're going to leave this one open-ended. Doesn't matter to me which one wins. We're going to have a Hulk Hogan promo, everybody. And that, of course, is to boost the score for the show, and it will. And they did do that, too. I watched these Z Channel ones where they would have the random Hulk Hogan promo or they would have the random Macho Man Randy Savage promo. It's just what they did. Here's Gene Okerlund, along with Hulk Hogan, of course, and this one is booked. And here comes our main event, everybody, and this one is going to go 16 minutes. And we have Steamboat versus Honky Tonk Man And the Honky Tonk Man, of course, is the reigning and defending Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. All right, here is Ricky Steamboat. Here is Honky. And this one can be an epic. Both these two definitely have the psychology for it. Honky Tonk Man had terrific psychology. Ricky Steamboat's going to win everybody, but it's going to come via countout. No, we'll have it come via DQ. And it's going to be due to outside interference. It's going to be Jimmy Hart hitting Ricky Steamboat. All right, so this one's booked. We're at 100 minutes, just over an hour and a half. And we're ready to rock and roll here, everybody. And hoochie coo. Let's go ahead and start the show. All right, Allen and Spivey get the win over Sear and Frenchie Martin. That's Louis Sear and Frenchie Martin. Frenchie Martin, of course, would become Dino Bravo's manager. Looks like we sold out the sports arena here. Outstanding crowd. 46 overall for this one. Ultimate Warrior gets the win over Steve Gatorwolf with that big splash, 58-34. Nets us a 41. Steve Gatorwolf, of course, was a guy the WWF had very high hopes for and ruined it for himself. Scott Casey gets the win over Mike Sharpe with that Bulldog headlock. And 51 for this one. Scott Casey gets a nice score of 72. Scott Casey was very good in the ring. He looked like $1 million. He's getting up there at age at this point, but he was still very serviceable. And I watched an interview with him not too long ago where he does not regret his time in the WWF at all. Said he had a nice schedule where he was doing enhancement work and he was getting paid handsomely for it. It was a good way for him to ride off into the sunset. All right, up next, we have a Ricky Steamboat promo that gets an 86. Great score, and that's most likely due to Gene Okerlund helping him out. Good stuff, really good stuff. Up next, Brady Boone and Tiger Mask only get a 49. And wow, that's quite the drop. You figure we should have gotten in the 50s here. But hey, what are you going to do? So, yeah, neither one of these two guys are very well known in the area. That makes sense. See if there's any other takeaways here. Brady Boone's got inexperience. Fair enough. All right, the Shadows against the Young Stallions gets us 59, 62, and a 56 for the Stallions themselves. They win with that high double drop kick, and that's the second win in a row for the Young Stallions. All right, Honky Tonk Man gets an 82 promo here with Gene Okerlund. Again, pretty good promo here. Lots of green. Green equals money. Let's see how our next bout does. The Killer Bees and the Hart Foundation get a 90. Outstanding score here in Los Angeles. And the Harts win with that heart attack after the interference of Jimmy Hart. Good stuff. Hart Foundation are a good tag team and great tag team champions. Killer Bees are no slouches either. One heck of a team. All right, Tito Santana and Butch Reed. Santana gets the win with that flying forearm here in Los Angeles. 80 overall. Good score between these two. Very good score. Up next here, we have the Hulkster and Gene Okerlund. And of course, the Hulkster, when talking with Mean Gene, gets us a good score of 93. Yeah, Hogan struggled going off script. Give me a break. Up next here, Ricky Steamboat and the Honky Tonk Man. And Steamboat gets the win by disqualification. We got a 98 for this score. Highly inflated score. I could see around 90, but 98's awfully high. But then again, who am I to argue with the AI? Of course, there will be lots of people watching this going, he's cheating! The game's rigged! Also remember, the popularity plays a huge factor under the current product that we're using, everybody. So that also is what gives the score such a boost. Lots of green here. Green equals money. And get that stupid penalty for chemistry overwhelmed by manager thing, but that's garbage. And great match. Great show. We're going to finish this one up here. Got a 94 overall, which is a popularity gain here. And we are going to point out, Ricky Steamboat, we are going to point out the Honky Tonk Man. And we are also going to point out Tito Santana. All right. Great performance. Good performance, great performance. We're going to make that speech. Steamboat is pleased. Honky Tonk Man is pleased. Tito Santana is pleased. And Brad Drake is also pleased. There he is, a legend, Bengali there, who wrestles for California Championship Wrestling. And this should take us back to Monday on our tour, and it does. We're going to be heading over to Denver, Colorado. We're going to see Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan in the main event. All right, let's take a look at our incoming here. And of course, we get our buy rate, which is 176,000 buys. Not bad at all for Los Angeles. I like it. Brady Boone is tired. Shadow number 1 is tired. Lack of big names. Come on. And All American Wrestling gets 184,000 views. BS Wrestling Challenge gets 124,000 views. Also BS. They would have gotten a lot more views than that, everybody. All right, that is going to do it for us for this one, everybody. For those of you who are new to the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop us a message below. Let us know how you found the channel, what you think of us so far. For those of you looking for some more, you can get more over on patreon.com/PowerCastNetwork. For just $5, everybody, you can get access to all of our spreadsheets, all of our shows early, and YouTube ad-free, not to mention the latest and greatest edition of the 1987 Supermod, which is version 10.1. Find us on social media, facebook.com/groups/1987 Supermod. And don't forget, we're also available on Reddit under the subreddit of TEW 2020 Friends. And we're also over there on Discord, 1987 Supermod. Don't forget to check out the Wrestling Fans International Association today, the WFIA.org. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.